The night sky was dark, but something bright streaked across it. A fireball moved fast, cutting through the clouds. People in the small town of Ridgefield saw it and thought it was a shooting star, but it was not. It crashed into the deep forest, shaking the ground like thunder. A military base nearby picked up the strange object on their radar. They sent a team to investigate. Soldiers in heavy gear moved carefully through the trees. They reached the crash site and saw something they had never seen before. A strange, silver ship lay broken among the trees. Smoke and sparks came from its surface. It was not from Earth. Dr. Laura Mitchell arrived in a black van with other scientists. She was an expert in studying new life. She had never seen an alien before, but she knew this was her chance. She stepped forward while soldiers pointed their guns at the wreckage. Then they heard a noise. Something was moving inside the ship. The door of the ship opened slowly. A figure stumbled out. It was tall and thin, with smooth blue skin. Its eyes were large and black. It wore a tight suit with strange symbols. The alien fell to the ground, weak and injured. "It's alive," Laura said. She ran to the alien, but a soldier stopped her. "Stay back, ma'am. We don't know if it's dangerous. It needs help. Look at it. It's hurt," she argued. The alien groaned. It tried to speak, but no one could understand its words. Laura knelt beside it and spoke softly. "We won't hurt you. We want to help." The alien looked at her with tired eyes. Then it closed them and lost consciousness. The soldiers carried the alien onto a stretcher and put it into the van. They drove back to the military base. Inside, doctors and scientists gathered around. They placed the alien on a table. Machines beeped as they checked its health. Laura watched closely. She saw that the alien had deep cuts on its arms and legs. Its breathing was slow but steady. General Harris, the man in charge, walked in. He was tall and serious. "Dr. Mitchell, is it dangerous?" he asked. Laura shook her head. "I don't think so." It was scared. It tried to talk. "We need to learn more." Agent Rick Dawson, a government officer, did not agree. "We should keep it locked up. It might be a threat. What if others come looking for it?" Laura sighed. "If it was dangerous, it would have attacked us already. Instead, it let us help. That means something." The alien woke up slowly. It looked around, confused and weak. Laura stepped forward. She placed a hand on her chest and said, "Laura, my name is Laura." The alien watched her. Then it pointed to itself and spoke one word, "Varen." Laura smiled. "Varen, that's your name." The alien nodded slowly. The others in the room stared in shock. It could understand them, even if only a little. "It knows language," Laura said. "That means we can talk to it. We can learn." Rick crossed his arms. "Or it can learn about us and use it against us. We need to be careful." Varen looked at them. It seemed to understand their fear. It raised a hand slowly, as if to show it had no weapons. It wanted peace. Laura turned to General Harris. "Give me time to study it. Let me communicate. If we show kindness, maybe it will trust us." The general thought for a moment. Then he nodded. "All right, Dr. Mitchell. But be careful. We don't know what we're dealing with." Laura sat beside Varen. She held up a notebook and a pen. "Let's start with small words," she said gently. Varen watched her, then pointed at the pen. He tried to speak. His voice was soft but clear. "Pen." Laura's eyes widened. "Yes, pen." She pointed at herself. "Laura." Varen pointed at her. "Laura." She smiled. This was the first step. An alien was among humans, and now they had begun to understand each other. Varen sat in a small room with white walls. The light above him was bright. There was a bed, a table, and a chair. A large mirror covered one wall, but Varen knew people were watching him from the other side. He felt weak, but better than before. The humans had given him food and water. They were not cruel, but they were careful. Laura Mitchell entered the room with a small notebook and a pen. She smiled at Varen and sat down across from him. Varen watched her closely. She was different from the others. She did not fear him. She wanted to understand. She pointed at herself. Laura. Varen nodded. Laura. She pointed at him. Varen. He nodded again. Varen. Laura turned the page of her notebook and drew a simple picture of the sun. She pointed at it. Sun. Varen looked at the drawing, then at Laura. He thought for a moment before speaking. Sun. Laura smiled. Good. The door opened and Rick Dawson entered. He was not smiling. He stood with his arms crossed, watching Varen closely. How is it going? Rick asked. Laura looked up. He's learning. He understands. Rick sighed. That's what worries me. The more he learns, the more dangerous he could be. Varen listened. He did not understand all the words, but he knew Rick did not trust him. Laura shook her head. He is not dangerous. He is alone and afraid. We need to help him. Rick stepped closer. We don't know anything about him. He could be lying. He could be spying on us. Varen looked at Rick. He raised his hand slowly to show he had no weapons. No harm, he said in a quiet voice. Rick narrowed his eyes. We'll see about that. Laura sighed. She knew it would take time for Rick to trust Varen. She turned back to Varen and drew a picture of a tree. Tree, she said. Varen studied the drawing. He touched the paper lightly. Tree. Laura nodded. Yes. For many days, Laura taught Varen simple words. He learned quickly. He liked learning. He asked questions, pointing at things and waiting for answers. Laura was patient. She answered every question. She brought him books with pictures, and he looked at them with great interest. One day, Varen pointed at a picture of the sky filled with stars. Home, he said. Laura's smile faded. Your home. Varen nodded. Home. Far. Rick, who was standing near the door, spoke. Where is your home? Varen frowned, thinking. He moved his hands as if trying to show distance. Far. Laura touched his arm gently. Do others live there? Like you? Varen nodded. Many. Rick looked at Laura. See, he is not alone. If he got here, maybe others can too. Maybe they're coming. Varen saw the worry on Rick's face. He did not want them to be afraid. He took the pen from Laura and drew a simple picture. It showed a small ship and a big explosion. Then he pointed at himself and then at the picture. Alone. Laura understood. You were attacked. Varen nodded. Attack. Ship. Break. Fall. Rick's eyes widened. Someone shot him down. Who? Varen looked at him. Bad ones. Laura felt a chill. Are they coming? Varen hesitated, then nodded. Maybe. Rick stood up straight. We need to tell the general. If there's a threat, we have to be ready. Laura looked at Varen. We will help you, but we need to know more. Who are they? Why did they attack you? Varen looked down. He seemed tired. Danger. Laura saw fear in his eyes. He was not just worried for himself. He was worried for Earth. Varen sat on the bed in his small room. The lights were soft, and the air was quiet. He had learned many words from Laura. She was kind and patient. He liked her. Rick was different. Rick did not trust him. Varen understood why. He was an outsider. He was not human. Laura walked in with a book in her hands. She sat on the chair near the table and smiled at Varen. Today we read a story, she said. Varen tilted his head. Story. Laura nodded. She opened the book and showed him a picture. It was a picture of a man standing alone in a forest. This man is lost. He must find his way home. Varen looked at the picture. He touched it gently. Lost. Like me. Laura's smile faded. Yes. Like you. Rick entered the room. He crossed his arms and watched them. Are we teaching him fairy tales now? Laura sighed. Stories help us understand. He learns about us this way. Rick shook his head. We should be asking him more about his people, his enemies, not reading him bedtime stories. Varen looked at Rick. Enemies. Bad ones. Rick took a step forward. Tell me more. Who are they? Why did they attack you? Varen took a deep breath. He touched his chest. My people. Explorers. We travel. Learn. We do not fight. Laura nodded. Like scientists. Varen nodded. Yes, science. Knowledge. Peace. Rick frowned. And the ones who attacked you? Varen's hands tightened. His face darkened. Destroyers. They take. They burn. They do not ask. Laura leaned closer. Why did they attack you? Varen looked at her. They saw us. They'd wanted us gone. We run. We hide. Rick looked at Laura. If they hunt his kind, they could come here too. Laura looked back at Varen. Are they coming? Varen closed his eyes. He seemed tired. Maybe. Rick ran a hand through his hair. That's not good enough. We need answers. Laura placed a hand on Varen's arm. We will help you, but we need to know what we are facing. Varen nodded slowly. I tell. I show. He reached for the pen and notebook on the table. He began to draw. First, he drew a large, dark shape. It looked like a massive ship. Then he drew small dots around it. Ships. Many ships. Rick narrowed his eyes. A fleet. Varen nodded. Big. Strong. Laura felt a chill. How far? Varen shook his head. Not no. But, they find me, they come. Rick turned and walked toward the door. I need to tell General Harris. We need to be ready. Laura looked at Varen. You are safe here. We won't let them hurt you. Varen met her eyes. Humans. Strong. Laura smiled a little. Yes. We are strong. Varen looked at the drawing of the lost man in the forest. Maybe. Not lost. Maybe. New home. Laura's heart ached for him. Maybe. Outside the room, Rick spoke into his radio. We might have a problem. We need to prepare for war. Varen sat on the bed, his hands resting on his knees. His eyes stared at the floor. He could feel the fear in the air. The humans were afraid. He understood why. The destroyers were coming. Laura entered the room with a tray of food. She placed it on the table. You need to eat, Varen. Varen looked up at her. Food. Later. Laura sighed. She sat on the chair across from him. Rick spoke to General Harris. The military is making plans. Varen tilted his head. Plans. Laura nodded. Defenses. Weapons. They want to be ready. Varen's fingers curled. Weapons. Not stop them. Laura frowned. What do you mean? Varen looked at her, his black eyes serious. Destroyers. Strong. Many ships. Big weapons. Humans. Brave, but not ready. Laura felt a cold feeling in her chest. Then what do we do? Varen was silent for a moment. Then he spoke softly. Run. Hide. Like my people. Laura shook her head. We don't run, Varen. Humans fight. We protect our home. Varen looked down. My people. Thought same. They are gone. Laura swallowed hard. We are not your people. We will find a way. The door opened, and Rick stepped inside. His face was serious. Varen, we need more information. How do we fight them? Varen looked at him. Not fight. Rick frowned. That's not an option. If they come, we stand our ground. Varen shook his head. Destroyers. Do not fight fair. They'd burn. They take. Rick crossed his arms. Then tell us what we need to do. Varen took a deep breath. They have weak spots, small places, hard to hit. Need right weapons. Rick leaned forward. What kind of weapons? Varen hesitated. Not human weapons. Stronger. Laura's eyes widened. Can you help us make them? Varen looked at her. Maybe. Need time. Need tools. Rick nodded. We'll get you what you need. But we need results fast. If they are coming, we don't have much time. Varen looked at him. I help. But not enough. Need more. Laura frowned. More. Varen took a deep breath. More people. More knowledge. More than just me. Rick exchanged a look with Laura. Then we better start looking. Varen sat at a metal table in a larger room now. The humans had given him more space, more tools. They were trusting him. He could feel it. But he also felt their fear. Time was running out. Laura and Rick stood across from him. General Harris sat at the end of the table, arms crossed. We have the best scientists working with your notes, Varen, the general said. But we need more. We need something stronger, something that can give us an advantage. Varen nodded. I understand. I do my best. Laura leaned forward. Varen, you said we need more knowledge, more people. What did you mean? Varen looked at her. Humans are strong, brave, but alone. Not enough. Need others. Rick frowned. Others? You mean your people? Are there more of you? Varen hesitated, then shook his head. My people. Gone. Few left, hiding. But others in universe. Others who fight the destroyers. General Harris sat up straighter. Are you saying we need allies? Varen nodded. Yes. Rick scoffed. And how do you expect us to find them? We can't even leave our own solar system. Varen looked down at the table, thinking. Then he spoke carefully. I know a way. Laura's eyes widened. A way to contact them. Varen met her gaze. Yes, but dangerous. The general leaned forward. Explain. Varen took a deep breath. A beacon. A call. But destroyers might hear too. Rick ran a hand through his hair. So we either stay silent and fight alone, or risk calling for help and possibly bringing the enemy faster. Varen nodded. Yes. Laura looked at the general. Sir, we need to consider this. If there are others out there, we can't face this alone. The general was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded. Prepare the beacon. We take the risk. Varen stood in front of the control panel. The beacon was almost ready. He worked carefully, pressing buttons and adjusting settings. The humans had given him what he needed. Now he had to make sure the signal reached far enough. Laura watched him. Are you sure this will work? Varen nodded. Yes, if others hear, they will come. If destroyers hear, they come too. Rick crossed his arms. Then we better hope the right ones hear it first. General Harris entered the room. How long until it's ready? Varen checked the screen. Few minutes. Then, send. The general nodded. We've moved forces into position. If the enemy comes first, we'll be ready. Laura turned to Varen. Tell me about these others, the ones who fight the destroyers. Varen's face grew serious. Strong. Smart. Not like my people. They know war. They fight hard. If they come, they help. But they do not trust easy. Rick smirked. Sounds familiar. Varen tilted his head. Humans same. Strong. Fight for home. That is good. The screen lit up. The beacon was ready. Varen looked at the general. Now. Harris took a deep breath. Do it. Varen pressed the final button. The signal was sent. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the screen showed a response. A message was coming in. Laura gasped. Someone heard us. Varen read the symbols on the screen. His expression changed. They come. Soon. Rick stepped forward. Who? Varen turned to face them. Not destroyers. Allies. The room was silent. Then the general smiled slightly. Good. Let's get ready to meet them. The night sky was quiet, but everyone was waiting. Soldiers stood at their posts, their weapons ready. Scientists and engineers gathered around screens, watching for signals. Laura, Rick, and General Harris stood near Varen. The message had been sent. Now, they had to wait. Varen looked up at the sky. He felt something inside him, a feeling he could not describe. "They come soon," he said softly. Rick checked his watch. "How do you know?" Varen placed a hand on his chest. "I feel them." Laura shivered. "I hope they are truly allies. We can't afford another enemy." A loud beep filled the room. One of the scientists turned to the general. "Sir, something is entering the atmosphere." Harris moved closer to the screen. "Can you identify it?" The scientist shook his head. "It's not one of ours, but it's slowing down. It's not an attack." Varen stepped forward. "It is them." Outside, the sky lit up. A bright blue light appeared above the base. A ship, sleek and silver, hovered in the air. It was different from the destroyer ships. It was smooth, glowing, peaceful. The soldiers aimed their weapons. Harris raised a hand. "Hold your fire. We don't shoot unless we have to." The ship slowly descended. It landed gently on the ground. A door opened and a ramp extended. Figures stepped out, tall, with armor and long cloaks. Their eyes glowed faintly. Varen took a deep breath. "They are here." One of the aliens stepped forward. It spoke in a deep, clear voice. "Who sent the call?" Harris stepped forward. "We did. We need allies. We need help." The alien looked at Varen. "You are not human, yet you are here." Varen nodded. "I am last of my kind. These humans saved me. They fight the destroyers." The alien studied the humans. Then it nodded. "We have fought the destroyers for many years. We have lost many, but we do not run. We stand and fight." Laura stepped forward. "Will you help us?" The alien looked at her. "Yes, we will fight together." A breath of relief passed through the group. The war was not over, but they were no longer alone.